want to check your phone all the time, ask you who you're with. They withdraw and just keep quiet, you go into a cave, you ask them, how are you? They're like, okay. They don't even say okay, they send a K back. Yeah. Is everything all right? They send an S to mean yes. Yeah, that's withdrawal. Some of relationships affect your self-esteem. You start feeling, am I beautiful? Am I handsome? Am I too broke? Am I a good person? Yeah, things that send you into desperation and recklessness. You're just drinking or sleeping around, or sends you into addiction or destructive behavior. um you may want to break up these relationships, and there are a few questions before a breakup. I'll go through them quickly. One, who is influencing your decision? Because sometimes you'll find during a breakup, if you're not breaking up because the relationship is toxic, sometimes you find your friends have noticed that you have a good guy, and they come tell you, this guy is bad, please break up with him. And then the next thing you see, your friend got married to your friend. At Uonsda, we used to call it submarining. So please find out who is influencing your decision. Then, what is your part in the problem? We like saying a coin has more than two sides. So always examine all the sides. Have you done your best to save the relationship? Is the reason justifiable? You don't just break up that this guy eats too many mandazis. Like, you can speak with him. Eating too many mandazis is not a good reason to they've seen ladies who are like, hey, this guy likes chapo too much, na mi sioni ka nitakuwa napika chapo kila siku, which is a trivial reason. So you can speak with that guy and say, hey, I think we can try a different cuisine. So is the reason justifiable? Then please know that there is no perfect relationship. Even Andrew and Diane fight. Yeah, it's not all rosy. Yes, we have a beautiful marriage, but it's not perfect. So don't expect a perfect relationship. Then, have you honestly prayed over the issues? Have you sought expert counseling and help? um the other thing, when it comes to breakup, when you're breaking up, this is very important, because I know some of you will realize that, hey, maybe I need to break up my relationship. Please don't do it on text. Hey, this almost gave me a heart attack many years. We like speaking about things that we've gone through. So one time I was at a mission, and we were taking a break, or rather my husband thought we needed to take a break. So I think he called or he sent it on text, and I couldn't preach for about 3 days, and I was a speaker. So please don't send it on text. You might cause people to get heart attacks and drop dead. Yeah. Don't put it on social media on your status at single again. What do you mean single again? And your boyfriend is watching your WhatsApp status. Yeah. Then never lie about the reason. Kwanza, there are these ones who go like, oh, it's not you, it's me, it's just me, I need to. So you're breaking up because you've seen certain character defaults. Don't lie about the reason. 4, don't make enemies. Ensure that as you leave relationships in campus, that you can still, talk to these people. Yeah. Because sometimes you might end up meeting this person in an interview panel. Ama the person becomes your boss. So don't make enemies. Now you can't talk. When you meet in choir, you're not talking. GM section moja imevunjika because the two of you broke up. Don't make enemies. Yeah. Then 5, explain reasons for the breakup. Yeah. And then terminate the relationship. Don't end a relationship today and then you're there on WhatsApp checking, is he online? Is he online? Then you're like, I wonder who he's talking to now. Then you go checking his Facebook friends. Terminate the relationship. If it's over, it's over. Don't find out ati, oh, alionekana na nani, squeezy wanatembeanga na nani after choir. That's none of your business. It's over. Yeah. When it's over. Please terminate the relationship. Don't, after breakup, please don't revenge. There are people who will be like, oh, if I'm not getting him, nobody else is. you're not God. Please give them a chance to move on with your life, with their life. Two, don't talk. Don't rush into another relationship. Don't badmouth your ex. This one is a bad one. At you, oh, he was so bad. He was so ugly. He used to do one, two, three things. Please keep quiet, because when you badmouth your ex, you know you're actually talking about yourself, because he was your choice or she was your choice. You're telling us how bad you are at making choices. So don't talk too badly about your ex. Then don't lose your head that you, oh, now it's over. You start looking ugly. You're in self-pity. You're giving up on love. You will die and we shall bury you, and the rest of us will continue enjoying love. So please don't lose your head. Don't start pitying yourself or giving up on love. Let me tell you, my friends, love is beautiful. Marriage is a beautiful thing that if you choose to lose on it, like you're just losing by yourself. The rest of us here are enjoying marriage thoroughly. Yeah. So please don't give up on love. The fact that one bad thing has happened does not mean that everything is bad. God can heal you. So how do you heal past hurts? These are hurts from childhood, from previous relationships. One, admit that you're hurting. Okay. James 5:16 says, confess your faults one to another, pray for one another that you may be healed. You may want to even, apologize or say certain things, then take responsibility. Don't be like me. I learned how to take responsibility through cooking rice. My husband doesn't like rice. So when we got married, I used to cook a lot of rice, and I would cook much of it. I never knew how to cook little food because we grew up as eight girls. So you can add plus our parents, plus the visitors. So we'd roughly be cooking for about 13 or 14 people per day. So I never knew how to cook little food. So when it came to marriage, I would cook a lot of food. The only problem is I would end up cooking a lot more rice because I love rice. So one time my husband came and asked, surely, why do you cook all this rice? Because now he was tired of feeding the birds. He used to take some of the rice and secretly feed birds outside our window. So that day he came and asked, okay, so why do you cook all this rice? And I said, are you sure it's me who cooks all that rice? I told him, it's you who goes to Tanzania and you bring all this nice rice. Me, I simply take the rice, I put it in the sufuria, and because it's good quality rice, in nafura. That's what I said. So I had nothing to do with the rice. That's not taking responsibility. Some of us need to take responsibility for what did you do? Yeah. What have you done? What's your contribution in the relationship? What is your contribution in the heart? Then forgive. Don't carry people in your heart forever. You're only hurting yourself. Forgive one another. Um, 18 verse 34 of Matthew says, and his Lord was wroth and delivered him to his tormentors till he should pay for all that was due him. This was a guy who had gone to his master to ask him for forgiveness because he owed his master, and his master forgave him. But then when he came out, he was not willing to forgive the people who owed him. And when his master heard it, he was like, I just forgave you and you're not willing to forgive others. Yeah. So his master was angry and he delivered him to the tormentors. When you don't forgive, it torments you. It will hurt you. You won't sleep. Until you let your past to die, it won't let your future to live. Okay? Forgiveness doesn't make it right. It just makes us free. Forgiveness doesn't excuse their behavior. Forgiveness prevents their behavior from destroying your heart. And you can't reach for anything new if your hands are full of yesterday's junk. Forgiveness does not change your past, but it enlarges your future. So God is willing to heal you. So knowledge, we were looking at the things that you need to know. Yeah. The other thing is, okay, that was preparation, and in the preparation we needed self-awareness and the things that we've gone through. So now you need to make a decision, or choices that are knowledge based. Eleanor Roosevelt said, one's philosophy is not best expressed in words, it's expressed in the choices that one makes. In the long run, oh, let me pause here. There are these watumishi who will come and tell you, we don't like a lady who puts on makeup, who has hair, sijui what, who dresses like this, and they preach, yeah. And then until the day mtumishi's wife is walking down the aisle, mtumishi's girlfriend is walking down the aisle, and you're like, what did mtumishi do? The girlfriend and mtumishi's sermon are different. And at that point, you don't believe Mtumishi's sermon, you believe the girlfriend, who is evidence of his choices. So sometimes I like saying, your philosophy is not best expressed in sermons and in words. It's expressed in the choices that you make. The choice of a person you make, that is what tells us about who you are. In the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die. And the choices we make are ultimately our own responsibility. We are responsible for how your relationship turns out. So it's not about the number of words, it's about the life that you live. And as you make choices, this is a good principle. Genesis chapter 13, verse 9 is not the whole land before you. Some of us act like the only place where there are girls is KU. You've not gone to Canada, you've not gone to South Africa, Uganda, Uganda, where there are women who will kneel for you. So stop acting like there's only one person who exists. And you already act married, but you're not yet married. You act tied, but not tied. The whole world is before you. Please ensure you have seen enough. Number two, choice based on provision. There are some that God has already provided near you. Some of you are looking for very holy people. You think you'll get married to angels, but there are people around you there. God has already provided. Why don't you pick the one who's near you there? You want to look for things that don't exist near you. What has God provided? So please choose based on God's provision. Yeah. The Bible says that God will go with you and he will prosper your way. Number two, choose based on God's word. And there are many principles in God's word. Number one, in his own image. And that's why I said you pick somebody who knows God, who has a spiritual understanding, or is spiritually responsible, who is, working on the image of God. Two, you want somebody who is working, because before God gave people a relationship or a marriage, he gave each of them work. And work here is not an employment or that they are employed, but it's a calling in life. Somebody who knows where they're going. Because if somebody does not know what they are called to do, if somebody is not in the presence of God, then you'll have a lot of problems with them. Then people who are willing to nurture and help you grow, because God gave these people a garden to till. Yeah. Now, this is the man to choose to be. I have a lot. I'm going to stop abruptly so that you have time to ask questions. I'll cut this presentation before getting to the end, but I'm nearing. So, the man to choose to be is one that is pure, reverent, spiritual, caring, and loving, responsible, neat, hardworking, and ambitious. Don't be the type of man who you have to be reminded, oh, socks zangu ziko wapi, mara uliacha moja kwa jug, ingine sijui kwa. Please be neat. Yeah. Be responsible and be caring and loving. Don't be this type of man, you see a girl is sad and you don't even ask, why are you sad? Lead. We like narrating a story of a certain gentleman who could never decide on where they are going for a date. So the lady would be like, okay, can we go out on a date? Then the guy's like, yeah. In fact, I was just thinking about it. Then the gentleman is asked, oh, so where were you thinking we'd go? Not sure. Let's see if we can get to town. Then the lady gets to town and the gentleman asks, okay, so twende lunch wapi? Then the lady is like, okay, so twende tu hapa, I think there's a restaurant here. When they get to the restaurant, the waiter is asking, so mtakula nini? The gentleman looks at the lady orders, then the waiter is waiting for the man, then the man is like, nitakula tu kama hiyo yenye ameorder. And the lady was so annoyed. She's like, what's wrong with this person? Like, can't you just lead? Can't you make decisions? Can't you give us direction? You know, some of you will be left because you can't lead. Uko kwa relationship miaka 4-5 mpaka msichana anakuuliza tunaenda wapi? Are we looking for a PhD in relationship? Where are we going? When you start hearing a lady asking you, okay, so who are we? What are we? Where are we going? It means you're not leading. You're not providing direction for that home. Please, ladies, check what is his past record. A good name, the Bible says, is to be cherished. Ask, some of you will be shocked and surprised that, sometimes somebody is married, they have children, somewhere wengine wenu ni last bonds. Hapana, kwanza hawa my last bonds. You need to learn how to lead. Marriage does not recognize you last born. Only your mother knows that you're a last born. Your wife knows that you're a man, not a last born. Sawa. So ask ladies and men, what is the past record of this person? Sometimes ladies hide children at home, then you only come to discover later that she's a mother of 2, or a gentleman who has a family somewhere and you don't know. Please ask and ensure that you have a good past record. Yeah? What is the history of this person? Ask as many questions as you can. What is their relationship with water? Do they shower? Sometimes ladies will come and complain, oh, this guy is coming to the bed at night. Kumbe, I didn't know he doesn't like showering. He can spend a whole 1 month, especially in June, July. He does not shower. I can't stand it. It is so personal, but it is critical for personal relationships. Relationships are personal. That's why you must ask everything. What is their past record? How many girlfriends have they had? What is their body count? Don't be shocked. Mtu ako na body count ya 100. So you want to deal with super gonorrhea, syphilis, and every other thing in your home. Yeah? So it's so important that you check your past record as you get into a relationship, because these things matter. And why did they break up? Because he's still the same person. People hardly change. And be hardworking and ambitious. I was reading a story sometime this week where the gentleman and the son are not used to working at home, so the ladies are always cooking. So because now they are feeling embarrassed, they have to try and get busy as they watch whether lunch is ready. So they pretend to be sweeping the compound. The ladies are really working hard, but for them, they're just buying time, waiting for food. Please, ladies, watch out for these people who are not hardworking or ambitious. Yeah, or ladies don't. Let me go to the ladies. I think nimenyeshea wanaume sana. Where are these ladies? Let a young woman accept. No, this is still for the men. A young man. Let a young woman accept as a life companion only one who possesses pure, manly traits of character, one who is diligent, aspiring, honest, one who loves and fears God. Shun those who are irreverent. Shun one who is a lover of idleness. Shun one who is a scoffer of hallowed things. Mwenye anakutoa afternoon service ati twende tu to watch ball afternoon, niko na game afternoon. Si lazima tukae church, hiyo meeting ya GM achana. Leave that one alone. Yeah? Avoid the society of one who uses profane language, one who is addicted to even the use of 1 glass of liquor. Ati huyu akunywangi sana, anakunywanga tu kidogo, Christmas peke yake, na ni wine tu, akunywangi hata vitu kalikali. Please, don't take a man who drinks. You want a sober man. Listen not to the proposals of a man who has no realization of his responsibility to God. Avoid a deadbeat, an addict, a player ni chairman wa women group, an abuser, one who abuses you verbally, physically. Ladies, kama unachapwa sahi, you will be killed. Don't say, oh, it was just a slap. The next thing, you will be booted. The unbeliever, the controller, and the lazy one. Now, let's get to the women. Women, it's important to have a close relationship with God. I can't overemphasize this. The Bible says a good woman builds her own home. There is no man who builds a home. They might build a physical home, but the woman is the one who builds the home. And let me tell you, if a woman is not in connection with God, they won't know that the Bible says that except the Lord build a home or a house, they labor in vain that build it. That's why it's important that as a woman, you learn how to pray, how to do Bible studies, how to read God's word by yourself. Be teachable. Usikuje kwa relationship uko like, mimi ninapika tu vile nilifunzwa na mama yangu. Like that's the only thing you know. And you're not willing to learn any other thing. Be a teachable person, and that's why it's important to keep learning and learning and learning. Don't be somebody who, I've seen ladies who when they get married, ile degree walitoka nayo KU, that's the only thing they end up with several years later. Keep learning, keep your brain informed, because you'll become a foolish woman if you're not learning. I can't tell you the number of courses I've done. Right now, I'm pursuing my second master's. I don't think I'll stop there. Why? Because knowledge is important in a home. Yeah. You need to be principled in everything that you do. The next word is just decent. Please cover the subject matter. Learn how to look hot, but also decent at the same time. Like I said, men like a good looking woman. You know, like when you just show up where he's like today I went to my husband's office, and yeah, I was looking hot and I knew it. So I went to his office and he was so happy. He's like, oh yeah, this is my wife, this is my wife, this is my wife, guys, this is my wife, guys. I'm like, yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah. You don't want to be this wife where the husband is sending you, wenda mbele ninakuja. Ama mi natangulia, utakuja na watoto. Hey, surely. Since when? Please look good. It is so important that you learn how to dress your body appropriately. Then be wise with words. Be an encourager, a woman who knows what to say, when to say. Don't be quick with words or comparing. You know, when a guy comes to tell you, oh, wengine wanavaa t-shirt ya campaign. Ui. Hapana, t-shirt za campaign tunaachia campaign. Hizo si za kwenda nazo date. Tumevaa sijui sengenge ni ng'ombe, zingine zinaitwanga kick polio out of Kenya, zingine ni AIDS sijui what. Please don't wear those ones while going for a date. Then be very wise with Kuzda camp meeting, Airtel. Oh, hizo zote mwende muzieke for other things za kufua, si za kung'ara. Then be wise with your words, be an encourager, because sometimes a man will come and share with you his dreams. And let me tell you, these men right now, they may not look well formed. Some of them are still color clashing. They don't have money, but they'll come and narrate to you how they'll become a CEO of a big company. Please don't look at them from top to bottom and start laughing and saying, wewe, are you sure? Siku gani? Can you even? Let me tell you, these men will turn out so well. You know, sometimes I see the tragedy of women where the gentlemen you ignored in campus, when now they have turned out, and you're like, guy aki huyu ungemwona kampo. Be wise with words, encourage people. And even if a man approaches you and you're like, huyu na mimi aki God, no, not this one, not this one, not this one. Please don't voice it and don't show it. The best you can do is do what Esther did. You know, when Boaz noticed Esther, Esther said, Boaz, it is an honor that you've actually noticed me, or what is it that I have done that you should take notice of me. Because by the time a man is making an effort to approach you, appreciate it. You know, sometimes there are gentlemen who will whistle at you in the streets. You're like, yeah, they've seen a good thing. Don't act, or throw bad words at them. Be wise with your words. Be an encourager. Be like Abigail. Abigail noticed that the husband was an idiot, but she waited for the husband to be sober. She did whatever she did and then came back and told the husband, okay, yesterday David was about to kill you. This is what I did. Be wise with your words. Be an encourager, because every home is built or destroyed with your mouth, women. The Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue. Then calm in spirit. Najua wanaume wapendi madrama queen. That's why it's so important to learn how to be calm in everything you do. I was targeting to finish at 9 and I have a few more slides left. Let's see if I can finish. Will the one who you marry bring happiness to your home? Is she an economist? Or will she, if married, not only use all her earnings but all of yours to gratify a vanity, a love of appearance? Are her principles correct in this direction? Has she anything now to depend upon? So, ladies, it's important for you to have something. I'll tell you my own story. When I was in campus, I realized that I was going to get married young. And so I decided to learn how to make my own money, because you don't want to fully depend on him all the time. Kila kitu ni yeye. It is not a good principle. Even the woman of Proverbs 31, you find her doing some biashara here and there. Oh, she buys clothes. She has a farm somewhere. It is important that you have something to depend on as a woman. So for myself, when I was in campus, when I joined, I started tutoring people. I would charge about 600 bob per hour for tuition. Then after tuitioning, I started cooking sandwiches. He taught me how to cook sandwiches. So I borrowed his toaster and started making sandwiches, opened an M-Pesa shop, opened a printing biashara. Please have something to depend on as a lady, even if the man is providing everything. Then also be an economist. This is something I didn't know. I learned over time. So one time we were dating, my husband gave me 5,000 shillings, and I went and bought shoes. I bought, I don't know, I think it was 6 pairs of shoes. And later he asked me, so what did you do with the 5K? I bought shoes. And he was like, what? A whole 5,000 shillings? You bought shoes? Only shoes and shoes and shoes? I said, yeah, I bought shoes and shoes and shoes. And he sat me down and said, but you're a second born. You have sisters. You only bought shoes for yourself. How do you think your sisters are going to feel? Couldn't you save? Yeah. And it taught me that, when you're given money as a lady, this is my principle. Yeah. 10% goes to tithe. Another 10% goes to investment. Another 10, an active investment. The other 10% goes to a passive investment or a saving. Then I only spend 70% and below. Like all my needs must fit into the 70. And this is a principle you'll find from the story of Joseph, that you must know in life you will always have 7 years of plenty and 7 years of drought. Not literally, but that there'll be seasons of drought and seasons of plenty. And so it's important to know how to save for the seasons of drought. Yeah. And ladies are the ones who most of the time will drive this. That's why she writes about it. Then Proverbs 31 verse 10 says, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is a law of kindness. She looks well to the house of her household, and she eats not the bread of idleness. The woman to avoid, a gold digger, one who is just looking to make money from you. An addict, one who is addicted to anything, wine, Facebook, whatever. Men, please avoid the older woman for several reasons. Please put that in the questions. I will explain. Do not for any reason. Marry an older woman. If you want the answer, please ask. Don't marry somebody who does not share your belief system, the controller, and the worldly. I want to stop here that there are many girls who are married and have families, but have little practical knowledge of duties devolving upon a wife and a mother. They can read, they can play upon an instrument of music, but they cannot cook. Cooking is an important skill in the home. Please, ladies, learn how to cook if you're to have good marriages and good relationships. The duties of a home, like right now, I'll tell you practical things. I have come from work, just arrived probably a few minutes before this session. I have clothes to arrange because I washed in the morning, so I have to arrange clothes. There's cooking for breakfast, clean the house, and many other things that need to happen, because you there are things that you just can't, devolve or delegate, that you must have a practical knowledge of the duties of life if home is to run. She says it is this inexcusable ignorance in regard to the most needful duties which makes very many unhappy families. Now, for the men, let me tell you, since both men and women have a part in homemaking, boys as well as girls should gain a knowledge of household duties. Don't say ati hii ni kazi ya mwanamke. Part of the reason why I'm so happy as a wife is my husband helps me at home. He does. Like, if I'm tired, or not even when I'm tired, you'll find if I'm doing something, he's probably doing something else. Not as a rule, not because I have imposed it as a rule, but he has chosen, or he knows that if he makes my burden, then I am happier. Yeah. It says to make a bed, to put a room in order, to wash dishes, to prepare a meal, to wash and repair his own clothing is a training that need not make any boy less manly. There are people who have been trained that if they go to the kitchen, it means now they are not a man anymore. She says no. For you to do all these things does not make you any less manly. Sugua hiyo sufuria ya ugali, yoshe. Yeah. So I think I wanted to stop at this quote. Girls, the end of this quote is, girls as well, please learn how to do certain manly things like changing bulbs, using a rake and a hammer, a hoe, because some of you will get into relationships because you could not sort out the socket in your room. A relationship started like that. It says you'd be better fitted to meet the emergencies of life. Learn how to change a tire. It's so important. Yeah, I want to stop here and answer your questions if you'd allow me. Are there questions? Somebody asked, what if the lady has all qualities of wife material and she's of age like 2 years older? Okay, let me explain why you don't want an older woman. Number one, basic need for a man is a wife who looks good. Generally, when a lady starts giving birth, sometimes they age faster than the man because their body changes. And if they are older, you'll find they'll tend to appear much older than yourself. And so that basic need for having a cute wife will not be met. Number two, women, as a rule, many times tend to mature faster, so you'll find their brain tends to think faster. So, for example, at an age where you've not yet conceptualized an investment, a lady 2 years older will already be thinking about it. So you'll find she'll go ahead and she'll be the one leading the relationship. And when the lady is the one leading the relationship, many men feel disrespected or spited because they are not in charge. And when you're not in charge, you start feeling like this relationship is not giving me the joy that I would want. Yeah. Then generally, the man was created first for good reasons. Yeah. For you to lead, to go ahead of the woman, to live longer, to have better experience, and so that the woman cannot have a problem with submission. Because when women are the ones leading, they tend to have madarao ndogo ndogo, if I should say. Yeah. So they find submission a bit easy. Yet a bit hard. A basic need for a man is having a woman who submits to them. So that's why marrying an older woman is working against yourself. I hope I have made that clear. And with that, allow me to invite your questions briefly. If I'm
Oh,
allowed, I think I'm 5 minutes past the time we were
someone has
supposed.
asked on the age gap that you'd recommend for so for a man who is looking to marry in the future. What is
Mhm.
the age gap that he should be looking at?
Okay, so I don't like being prescriptive, but there are a few principles, all right? So, when you're picking, for example, somebody who is too young, by I mean too young is you're two generations apart. You finished campus a while ago, you're working, you've already had enough experience. This lady is probably just straight out of high school, or has not even finished high school. You'll find your experiences are different, and you might end up being a father more than a husband to that person. Yeah. So you'll find an age gap sometimes tending to way above 10 years becomes a problem, because you can't relate. You're not able to relate experience wise, and you end up becoming a father to this girl because you are way older, and you don't have the same age set of friends, the same age experiences, and it becomes a very difficult home to manage, because now you're a father. And then sometimes you'll find that when the age gap is too big, you've already established yourself, so the lady comes in, and she starts feeling like, okay, so what am I bringing in? You bought the chair, you bought the fridge, you bought every other thing, the home is already set, so she comes in like a flower. Yeah. And sometimes ladies who come in like that end up feeling like, okay, I have nothing else to bring in this home. You're not starting together, which becomes a huge problem if the age gap is too wide. And by too wide, I said if you find an age gap going way above 10, sometimes it's a problem. Though there are some marriages that have worked that have an age gap above 10, but if you start looking at 15, your age gap now is too huge. And then now there are issues about children, that you'll have a very young wife with an old father and young children in between. So you can imagine, if you have a 15-year-old relating to a 70-year-old father, that is a problem. Yeah. Or a 50-year-old 15-year-old with let's say a 68 or a 70-year-old father is becomes a problem. That's why you need to consider, if you're going to have children in that home, will they be able to relate with this person and both of you, because the two of you already have a wide age gap. Number two, if your age gap is too close, a lot of the times you find either you're competing, there's a lot of competition in marriages, and submission again becomes a problem. But now it also depends on your level of maturity. Some of them work, and that's why it's important to first of all examine your personalities, your experiences, your backgrounds, because all of those come into play when selecting your age gaps. Yeah. So yes, you can marry someone your own age, but sometimes for men you find that marrying your own age sometimes is a problem for some men, because you find, like I said, most of the times ladies mature faster. So even your own age sometimes becomes a problem. So I wouldn't give you a prescription, but look at those factors when you're picking the age gap. All right, I'm looking for more questions. You can read them out for me if you see. Okay, somebody has said, in my pursuit to look for a good lady, I find myself counting more than 10 relationships. Can that be termed as trifling too, or should I jump into marriage kama mbaya mbaya? Okay, so I will ask, first of all, what has been the nature of this more than 10 relationships? If you find the nature of these ladies are all different, moja ni Lejo Maria, mwingine ni MSDA, mwingine ni dini ya Msambwa. I'm just looking at the character of these ladies. If they are all so different and diverse, then there's a problem with you, because it means that you have not yet defined what exactly you want. Yeah, so you need to have a clear definition of what you want. Then, number two, still on the definition of what you want, there are people who expect heaven. So they're always searching for an angel. This world, you are not going to get a perfect human being, otherwise you'd be married to, I don't know, we don't have perfect human beings. So there are people who are stuck in finding perfection, and you'll never find it. In every relationship you go to, you will have to deal with an imperfection. Yeah, so you need to check this imperfection, can I stand it? Yeah, can I be able to live with it? All right. So it's so critical that you look at, is the problem you? And most of the time you'll find the problem is you. Yeah, that you have not yet defined clearly what you want. And number two, you are in what is called, what is the word? The word has gone. Okay, I'll remember the word and tell you, where you're always comparing and you can't make a decision. So it's important to make a decision and stick with it, and that decision you need to weigh, are these things you can live with? The imperfections that you find, are they things that you can live with forever? Yeah. And then this, can that be termed as trifling? Trifling is, when you are, the same words you say to one person, you're repeating to another person, like that. Or even at the same time, when you have one girlfriend in GM, the other one is in whichever other ministry that is in KU, and you are dating them, all of them at the same time. It's not a good thing. Okay, so I'll say pick one. And before you pick, please take your time, because some of you commit too fast. You commit at the stage where umeona nywele ni mzuri, mwili ni mzuri, container ni mzuri, ukaingia pap, then you go and discover huko mbele that hakuna content. That's the word I was looking for, paralysis of analysis. Thank you. All right. All right. So there are people who commit too fast, so please take your time. The principle here is, don't pluck a flower before it fully blooms. There's some of you who pluck a flower before it has fully bloomed. Take time to see the flower bloom and see, is this a flower I will be glad to have on my table? All right. How about intertribe relationships? uh Now, there are few principles when you're dealing with intertribal, interracial relationships. And all of this we find in the Bible. The Bible, there was one man. This man had gone to marry, and he had fallen in love with one beautiful sister who happened to be the second sister. The second sister was called Rachel. I'm sure you know the name of the man. Okay. So this gentleman, during his wedding, he's given the first lady. And when he goes asking, how could you give me Rachel? How did you give me Leah, not Rachel? And the father-in-law asks, didn't you know that in our culture, it is not proper to give the younger before the older? So when you're dealing with intertribal relationships, you need to be aware of cultural differences. Are you going to fit in? Are you going to embrace the culture? Because yes, sometimes culture plays a huge role in marriages. I'll give you examples. So for example, there's a culture in this country where the first hair of the baby is shaven by the mother-in-law. So somebody got married to this culture and she's not from there, and she went ahead to shave her baby. And the mother-in-law was like, how could you? Didn't you know it is taboo? You can't shave the baby's first hair. Yeah. There are other places when you go to, you'll be given fertility milk. Yeah, so it's important to be aware of the culture. Culture is so critical. You don't want to go to a home that um silently still practices witchcraft. For them, they believe that witchcraft and Christianity can be mixed, and there are homes like that. So intertribal relationships work. They always work if both of you are converted to Christianity. And even if both of you are converted to Christianity, please always investigate, because there are cultural issues that sometimes come into play around the wedding, around children, around building, around setting up the homes and funerals, which is important for you to study and see, am I going to fit in this culture? And sometimes when parents are refusing certain cultures, you need to know that one of them, it's sometimes it's because of their own experience, their own fears. Sometimes it's having studied you and they know that you're not able to fit into that culture. Yeah. Somebody is asking, what if one is reformed and can't take animal products, but you're not reformed? What is the probability of relationship working? It depends with the two of you. Yeah. So if that is the only point of difference, you can cook for the other person whatever they eat, and the other person eats whatever they eat. Ellen White, for example, she would eat certain things that her family would not eat. I have quotes where she says that she does not force her family to eat whatever she eats. It does not become a point of difference for the home simply because she eats something different. It does not need to become a point of conversion or a point of checkpoint for heaven or for relationship, unless somebody is eating totally unclean, unclean meats. It shouldn't be an issue in a home that you're quarreling. Somebody is eating fish and the other one does not eat fish. Yeah. Even in Ellen White's home, it was never a problem. She would eat her thing. This family would eat certain things because her stomach could not be comfortable with certain foods. She actually writes that they never had quarrels, about it. It was still a happy home. They would have their meals, she would have hers. Yeah. So I know some people have made this an interview point in relationships. Yeah. That are you taking animal product? You need to reform fast. Let me tell you, the Bible has three types of diet. There is the ideal diet, which is vegetarian. Number two, there is the permitted diet, where there are certain meats that are permitted. And number three, there is a forbidden diet. Okay. So you need to fit in the ideal or the permitted. Of course, we all would want to get to the ideal, but there is permitted diet, and so you don't want to make food a point of argument. Yeah. What if the lady has had several relationships before? Body count ni 70, actually 70. All right. But she has all it takes to be a wife. Can that past haunt the future? Yes, it can. So, why do I say it can? My question is, why did she get to a body count here 70? Uh, like, what was she doing? Was she a prostitute? Goodness, my computer is going off. Just allow me to change devices. You'll hear some echo shortly. Uh, I'll log out on this and log in with a different device, then we can continue.
Gideon Oboge 70 yote.
All right. Okay. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So there are a few factors. One, why was she getting to 70 in the first place? Was she raped? Was she in relationships with all those 70 men? Was she a drunkard? Was she a prostitute? Like, what was happening? Is she a sex addict? Because sex addiction is a huge problem. Because if she is still dealing with sex addiction, marriage does not suddenly take away the addiction. Marriage does not suddenly make the person a new person. Yeah. So you want to first address the why. Why did she get to this 70? Has she changed? Has the reason changed? Is she a new person? Before you decide to continue with her, yes, people can choose to change, people can choose to commit, but if it has not happened, it can be a factor in the relationship. Okay? Are there more questions? Sorry, I've logged out. I'm using a different device, so I've kind of lost all your questions before. So in case I've missed a question previously, you can just read it out. Okay, I assume there are no more questions, and I'm seeing people lefting. You can left the meeting, but please don't left good relationships. Don't don't left the WhatsApp group of God, and keep in God's heart. I pray that God will bless you with good marriages. Guys, marriage is beautiful. Let nobody lie to you. It's hard work. It's a lot of effort. But make a decision to get married. You shall enjoy it if you marry well. But if you don't marry well, you'll become a philosopher and a motivational speaker. God bless you and have a good night. I hope it was helpful.
Thanks so much, Diane, for